Yeah, I was listening to people talk about how they got tickets to this and that movie and stuff like that, like Captain Marvel. And they're like, we showed up and somebody was sitting in our seat, but there's a couple other seats open. So, we just moved down there. I was like, well, that's bullshit. You paid for them ahead of time. I've literally told people, I've paid for these seats. Here's my ticket. Find somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a guy in our row that wasn't in our group, and I was like, is this your seat? And he was like being weird about it. And then I was like, I thought we bought the whole row. And then somebody else shows up and he's like, oh yeah, well my seat's up there. I moved down. And I'm thinking, why the fuck would you move down to the second row if you've got a high seat? So he moved, but yeah, I was just like,
I know myself.
we asked you if this was your seat 5 times. Stupid.
I don't ask. I just tell them. But
All right, let's see. It looks like we're breaking.
I'm strange.
No, I totally agree. If you buy a seat, now I also understand where, like, one thing I don't like about buying tickets online for the movie theater in Cove is that if you do it online, you have to pick a seat next to someone else, and
Really?
yeah, like you can't just pick any other seat. So sometimes I'm like, if it's not that busy, I'll wait to go to the theater so I can pick a seat far enough away, but. What's going on, Canada? We can't hear you.
We're just looking at something.
I need an
okay.
address. I got to know where to pick Logan up.
I muted it. So.
I was
It's
like,
a signal coming from the future. It
Yes.
takes a while.
Damn,
Well, I can't
off.
say nothing. I'm on the same time zone as them.
I was gonna say
so-
you're in the same time zone. You're still in the future too. So, oh man,
Got about 1.5 pounds of steak and
damn.
about a cup of spaghetti squash.
How's your diet going, dude?
Well, I got really, really fat after I left Texas. Well, whenever I came down there for guys' weekend, I was like at 233, 232.
Oh, jeez.
Got some injuries.
Uh huh.
Hurt my knee again. And just with working, the divorce, all that shit, I got back up to like 350 pounds.
Wow, you did put it back on.
351, that was my heaviest. Before I started losing weight, before I came to Texas, I was 320.
Uh huh.
So I did 31 more pounds of damage. Last time I weighed myself about 2 weeks ago, I was down to 242.
Wow, good
Yeah.
job, dude.
So I've lost 30 pounds since I started working at the DC in December.
Mm-hmm.
But I still got a lot more to go. But
Don't we all?
yeah, it's definitely feeling better than what I did at 350.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick and we can get started.
Now it's just time to get my fat ass out in the gym. But I
That's
work.
tough, man.
Well, I walk about on an average day 10 to 12 miles.
Wow.
And the whole time if I'm walking, I'm carrying something. It might only be 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, whatever.
Still.
But it'll vary anywhere from 5 pounds to 60 pounds.
Yeah.
And going anywhere from, right at knee level to 7 foot in the air. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and I do that. Hell, I mean, a normal run is 200 plus boxes. So, I mean, you do that. I do 4 to 5 runs before our first break. That's 3 hours into our shift.
Yeah.
So you say do about anywhere from, depending on the size of the runs, 12 to 20 a day. And it's a lot of moving shit. And
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember one of my first jobs while I was in college. One of my more serious jobs, anyway. I worked at a concrete place where they made different bricks and stuff like that. And one of the bricks that they had was 150 pounds, and we had to put them on a conveyor. Now, they usually had a thing to help us move them over, but one of the days that I was on it, of course, it broke down. So I'm lifting it off the one skid, putting it on, and then it would go through the machine. And I'd go to the other side and grab it and put it off. And so it's funny how
Well, I worked for a temp service, and we had to do it was down at Firestone making tires. And in order for this machine to press out some tires to mold them, we had to pick up like 100-pound slab of rubber
Yeah.
and throw in there. And, you know, literally you only lifted it about, because the process took so long, about 5-6 times a day. But
Yeah.
trying to pick up a big slab, 100-pound slab of rubber is
Dead weight, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, hell, it's so odd because whenever I was powerlifting, I'd do like dumbbell presses. I'd do like 110, 120 pounds in each hand.
Yep.
And not bad, you know, heavy, but not like, it wasn't killing me. Hell, now I'd go to put a 60-pound box up above my head, but this box is like 4 feet long, 3 feet wide, and not balanced.
Yeah.
And it's a bitch.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Pretty crazy.
I guess we're not going to have an opening question because I didn't think of one. I've been out of it.
I got one for you.
Okay.
When are you going to see Endgame?
You know what? Yeah, we'll just start with that. Let's see here. Because I realized I didn't even do... I mean, not that I really had to do show notes for this one, but still.
Yeah, since none of us know what we picked, I hope you're telling us.
You get to announce it.
Oh, yeah.
To explain it afterwards.
Because, yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago or something.
Well, I rushed to submit it. I was like, oh, shit, I got to get them in. And then I realized, oh, I still had some time. Uh-oh, I didn't write it down.
Well, that's pretty much what I was doing.
That's what I was saying. Sorry.
No, it's no problem. I was just sitting there and I was like, fuck, I need to hurry up and get this in. Couldn't remember when it ended. So I was like, select. And then I got sidetracked doing something else.
Yep.
And I went back to finish it up and like it refreshed the browser. So I had to start all over again. I was like, fuck. So I put it back in and I'm like, I know some of these are out of order.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
That's why I was saying to give us the spreadsheet with the results, Eugene, then we can just see everybody's.
I was going to, but honestly, I literally just kind of ran out of time. So
I was thinking about it. I may still do it because I got a bit of time. I was going to throw in a second one because I did one as the Reluctant Yeti, and then I'm doing another one. Maybe I'll do another one as me. So
okay,
why not, right?
Yeah, you're more welcome to enter more than once.
When is the timeline for that?
Tonight.
As in, like, when it starts, or
no, when we have to get it submitted?
Oh, by midnight tonight.
Yeah, midnight your time, right?
Something around there. Yes, ish.
Well, my fiance still wants to do one.
Okay. Well, you know what? As long as it's in before I wake up tomorrow morning, I think it's fine. And that's what she said. So, all right. That being said,
she
forgot something. Oh, I was about to say she forgot something.
I was going to say, what's going on, Jen? You were like...
I was about to sneeze. It was dramatic.
But
Sorry.
Deep you know.
We got coughers and sneezes.
Oh, jeez, this cough is going to kill me. All right. Let's see if we can remember how to do this. Get the mic in 3, 2. Welcome out to the Epically Geeky Show, episode number 114. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight's opening question is, so when are you going to go see Endgame, Ray?
Oh, I've already seen it twice. Went yesterday at the opening time in our theater at 6:30, and then I went again today with a bunch of guys down to a little city called London, Ontario, and got to watch it in, there's a Landmark Theater there that you get the leather seats and they flip out and everything. So got to watch it in style this afternoon too. So it was
very cool. Jen, When are you going to go see Endgame?
Hang on. So that means in the last 24 hours, you have given a what is the fraction of that? A sixth of your life or something, eighth of your life to this fucking movie.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Worth every penny.
I was actually watching it this time yesterday. I saw it at 6:00. So first showing, and yeah, we were like this, because we were second row, but it was still great.
Yes, it was. And I'll jump in on that one because I actually saw it with you. Thank God you were. I mean, I was looking for tickets for opening night anyway, but it was just like Jen's like, I'm buying a bunch of tickets. You want one? I'm like, yep, sure, absolutely. So let someone else do the work on that one. So Jay, when are you seeing Endgame?
I am going first thing Sunday morning, bright and early at 8:30. So.
Well, I was gonna ask about that. So most movie theaters around here, at least, like usually the early bird showing is like 10 or 11. But I know a lot of movie theaters have said that they're going to start doing like earlier showings, and in some cases, in some larger cities, they're doing 24/7. Like they're showing this thing around the clock.
They're doing something kind of similar. Their last showings at 2 a.m. So it'll be done like at 5, and then they're shutting down for a few hours to clean, get everything stocked back up, and then open them back up. So
that's crazy.
I got me some sweet IMAX seats, exactly where I like them, and
nice.
Gonna get there early.
Nice.
Is Chris in this? Is she coming back?
She'll be coming back in a little bit. Chris did see it last night with me. I kind of told her we're going to go see it on opening night, and as soon as the local theater confirmed that they had it, I said we're taking the kids.
Nice.
So she's like, yeah, okay.
Well, we've already talked about it. I know she's not complaining. So
no, she's not, and that's all. No spoilers. Not going to spoil it.
Absolutely no spoilers. So yeah.
Next week though.
Yes. Now
spoilers all over the place.
So let's kind of start real quick. If you listen to the show, which number one, thank you. But we have not been that consistent the last month, really. Pardon me. And nothing's happening to the show. We're not going away. Yeah, I know what pod fading is. It's a term that's kind of come around for podcasts are like, oh, well, we missed an episode here or there. Everything's okay. And the next thing you know, they're gone. That is not happening. We're not doing that. We have big plans going on.
Eugene's just losing his voice because he can't stop coughing forever.
Yeah, thank you. We've had a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. EGX is around the corner. There's a lot of planning going on that. I have some secret stuff going on with the Etsy store I can't talk about quite yet. But on top of that, yeah, I've had this cough for 3 weeks. I've been on a steroid for 2 weeks. I've been on an antibiotic for another week. And as you can hear, I'm trying not to cough right now. And
just
failing.
making it worse.
Yes. But
Cough
yeah,
drops.
we've had a lot of stuff going on. And but yeah, we're not going anywhere. In fact, to kind of make up for it, we're going to have another episode next weekend. And stupid cough.
Lots of editing.
It will be, yeah. It will be our review of Avengers Endgame. So anyway. I mean, I'm your host. This is stupid. All right.
No, Sean. We'll see if Sean can get on, because maybe Sean will want to host. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so tonight's episode, we're talking about the summer movie game. We dropped it last year. I just had a lot of stuff going on, and there wasn't a lot of people playing it. And I thought, well, we'll skip it for a year. Who knows? Maybe we'll bring it back. And I had several people contact me, and we're like, hey, are y'all going to do this again? And so it was missed. So we're doing it again. Unfortunately, at the time we're recording this, there's only about 3 hours left to enter. So if you're listening to this afterwards, it's already too late to enter. But
so are we going to do the winter one maybe?
We are probably going to do another winter one. So hopefully if you missed this one, you can catch that one. But needless to say, tonight we're going to be talking about all the big movies coming out this summer. So even though we're referencing them in the framework of the game, we're still going to be talking about our thoughts and feelings about about the movies that are coming out. So, the way the game is played is you have to pick your top 10, what you think are going to be the top 10 highest grossing movies for this summer. And the order counts. You get points depending on, if you get it exactly right or if you're one off or two off. But all the rules are explained on the website. So we're going to be going through these in order and explaining why we picked which movie for which slot. And specifically, it's supposed to come down to what we think it's going to make, but there'll be some of the comments and stuff in there along the way. And then of course there's also 3 dark horses, and these are movies that were like, it may or may not do really well. It's kind of, on the cusp. So there's some some way to just kind of grab some extra points that way too. So that being said, let's go ahead and start off with our first movie, because it's not unanimous. I'm looking at the list here of everyone who's put in their number one. And there are at least 3 people that picked a different movie, and I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm not going to say anything about it. But, y'all can do that for me. But yeah, so everyone on this panel picked their number one movie for being Avengers Endgame. I don't know if we don't really, most of us here have seen it. But like we've already been talking about, this broke all records for pre-sales. They are doing, they're doing, round the clock showings in some cities. If nothing else, they're doing super late or super early showings in other places. Granted, it's not, we have come down from the time of the 3D inflation. Yes, they still show movies in 3D, but they don't push it as much as they used to. That was a way to kind of inflate the numbers, was to, oh, hey, we made this much money. Yeah, but you forced a lot of people to see it in 3D. So, so that being said, yeah, I don't see how anything else can beat this. Now, we have had some games where everyone was like, oh, well, it's obviously going to be this, and something slid in to the number one spot. We're like, oh, well, okay, I guess that was a bigger movie. Okay. But yeah, Avengers Endgame across the board. Ray said, Ray's already seen it twice. I'm actually going to see it again tomorrow night. I may be seeing it a third time on Sunday morning. I don't know. It depends how much sleep I get after.
So what were the other picks for top?
You know what? We'll get to those here in just a second. Let's go ahead and start with our number 2s.
I was going to say, like, that thing. So this movie, in the first 17 hours, right? It made $100 million in 17 hours. That is 5,882,000 and change in an hour.
Canadian or?
That's American. You want me to do Canadian? I can do Canadian. It's more.
Okay. Let me put this in perspective. The number 10 movie on this list, to qualify to be a number 10 movie through any game that we've played through all the years, 100 million is the bare minimum. No movie has ever made it in the number 10 spot in this game that has made less than $100 million. This movie made it in less than 17 hours. So that should give you some idea of the track that it's on. So,
well, I mean, just look at it's the earliest movie of the summer movie game. So it's got the longest amount of time to make money.
Yep.
And that's also a very good point. Now, there are some other people who play movie games. They usually do them as drafts. They started their drafts early enough that Captain Marvel was considered part of it. I had a hard time doing that, and I'll be honest with you, I had a hard time considering this movie because, generally speaking, the summer movie season doesn't start until May 1st. But I'm like, there's no way we cannot include Endgame. Hollywood has basically decided, well, you know what? The summer movie season is just going to keep getting ratcheted up. Who knows? We may be starting this game in fucking April 1st in a couple of years because of all the big movies they keep pumping out. So
it's like Black Friday. It's really the whole week of Thanksgiving now.
Yeah. So that's a really good way to look at it.
Consumerism.
Starts in November now.
Movie game starts in November.
Yeah, I know, right? What's funny is even that dead area, like pretty much any movie that's released January and February, you just know is not going to be good. Like that's where they shovel all the shit that's not going to do anything. And yet there have been a couple of movies that are like, yeah, I'll take that shit spot and see what I can do with it. And then you got freaking, things that jumped out like, what's his name? Deadpool. Deadpool came out in February, blew up the box office. But it was
Valentine's Day.
It was smart. It was like, what else do we have to compete with?
Yeah, there's
going to
nothing
trash
compete
everything.
with, so.
Yeah, exactly. So, which was a smart move. And so you can't even consider that time to be a garbage time anymore. There could be, a standout movie. So,
Yeah.
all right. So the number 2 spot, this is where we do start having some differences. In the number 2 spot, Jennifer had The Lion King.
Really? Okay.
I have The Lion King as well. Jay has Spider-Man. You, Ray, had Toy Story, and
Yes,
Chris had Spider-Man as well. The Lion King. Jen, why did you pick it for the number 2 spot?
I feel like there is so much anticipation from people our age who saw it as a kid and are so psyched up to see it in 3D. Like there's been so much build up and everyone's like, the cast is great. This is our childhood, and these Disney nostalgia movies tend to do really great. So I just feel like between that and it's a Disney movie and people go, crazy over Disney movies. I don't know. I think my method was Marvel or Marvel and then Disney, which is the same thing, right? But like that was kind of my method in trying to pick these things. So I think that was my top pick for Disney of all the movies they're putting out. So yeah.
I pretty much echo everything you just said. A lot of people our age, of course, saw it in theaters when, the animated one in theaters when it came out. And now it's like, hey, I get to take my kids to go see this. And it's a little different, but man, that trailer, they are hitting hard on the nostalgia. And I think, and that movie is so iconic. I think as long as they don't just make some major twist, turns and stuff in it, it's gonna do really good at the box office. So, let's see. Jay, you had Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yes, sir.
Any particular reason?
It's Spider-Man for one. I mean, those movies always do extremely well, unless even the Andrew Garfield ones did extremely well, which I liked. Most people didn't, but I liked. With the buzz around the whole Marvel movies, that all of them, but especially with Endgame ramping up and people wanting to see where it goes after that, I could still see it carrying out a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And shit, anybody that likes the Marvel movies, especially Spider-Man, has been waiting for Mysterio to be in a fucking movie. So I think that's going to drive some people in there. So
I'll be honest with you. That was the, not to get too far ahead, but I had it really high up on my list. And that was one of the main reasons was this is the next movie after Endgame. People are going to be curious. All right, well, what's next?
I know women that just want to go watch the Spider-Man with their boyfriends because Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. So,
hey, you know what? If Aunt May's in it, gotcha.
Yeah.
See, and Logan wants to go see it because of Spider-Man. She has a crush on him, man. So they've got all the different.
I'm all about that Jake Gyllenhaal life. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
It's gonna be a fun movie. It's gonna be. You can just tell it's gonna be fun. So,
Samuel L. Jackson's still in it too.
Yeah. Ray, you had Toy Story 4.
I do, and the reason is because the last time we did this game, a little movie called Finding Dory came out, and I underestimated it. And I will not let a Pixar movie. I will not underestimate it again. It's not going to fool me again. Toy Story. So the reason why I didn't pick The Lion King to go as high is because what's safer than a Pixar movie to take your tots to? The Disney movies are good and everything, but now it's live action. People might be a little bit more hesitant to take the little ones too, especially if they're got live looking lions around.
And we all know what's going to happen.
And it's going to get scary. So you know what?
Yeah.
Toy Story 4 is going to be the safer option. So that's why I went with that one.
I understand that. That's a safe pick. That's a good pick.
Also, a huge nostalgia movie for those of us that like grew up with Toy Story. Because
Huge
oh my god,
nostalgia. And another end, right? Like this is the fourth one. I'm pretty sure it's the last Toy Story movie there's going to be.
I thought 3 was going to be the end. But
yeah, I do too.
So did I, but
Well-
I can't.
Well,
see
I know that that's my son and my oldest daughter's favorite movies from their childhood.
Mhm.
So they're buying tickets. My son's taking his wife. My daughter's taking her girlfriend. I'm going, and that's probably the first movie we're going to take the little one to go see. She's about to turn 3, but she will sit there and not make a word, not say a word when Toy Story's on. I actually just bought her, because she already had Buzz and Woody from Christmas. The Toy Story 4 aisle was loaded at Walmart. So I bought her Jesse and Bullseye today.
Oh, nice.
And
Yeah.
she was excited as shit. So yeah, I mean, they're going to have a half a dozen tickets just from us. So
yeah, it's definitely a safe pick. Number 3, Jen had Spider-Man. I also had Spider-Man. Jay had Toy Story. Chris had Toy Story, and Ray, you had Spider-Man.
Yep.
So it's pretty much of the group here. It was either Spider-Man or Toy Story, and pretty much everything that we've said, just reapplies there. The only reason I had, I put, I had Toy Story down a little bit further, but I put Spider-Man there. Is I think the nostalgia thing may jump Spider-Man. I mean, Toy Story. Sorry. Look at mine again. The Lion King. I think the nostalgia thing may cause The Lion King to jump a little ahead on Spider-Man. I'm also wondering, I know it's going to be a good movie, but the other one was also, it's Spider-Man, but it's also an Iron Man 4. So it's kind of, and now that we don't, we depending on who we have in there, we've got a new enemy. We're going to be away from New York. I think it's still going to do a lot of money, but I just don't know if it's going to quite have the draw like the other one did. But yeah, I think Spider-Man that far up in the top 3 spot is pretty safe. So.
And see, I was kind of flip-flopping between Spider-Man and Toy Story 4. And the reason I went with Spider-Man and not Toy Story 4 is because for a lot of people didn't want to see a Toy Story 4. Once Andy let him go and he went off to college, they wanted it to be done, over with. So there's some people, yes, want to see it, like myself. Some people, it's not a necessity because it's like a different storyline starting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I understand that too. That's kind of one of the thoughts I had. I was like, do we really need a Toy Story 4? And then I saw the trailer and I'm like,
yeah,
well, they've got a story to tell. As long as they've got a story to tell, I'm fine. This does not seem like a cash grab. This seems like, hey, what would happen to these toys? Like, what happened to these other toys that didn't find a home? And let's explore that as an idea. And I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. I'm in for that. So
yeah, and some people are already bitching about a kind of emo suicidal fork being the main protagonist of this movie, not wanting to be a toy and just jumping out the fucking truck and stuff like that.
See, but I love that part of like, why am I even alive? I'm not supposed to be here at all.
Yeah, and that's another thing to it. And that was something else that I was like, oh, that's an interesting take. How do you explain a toy that's not? Like, can anything become a toy now? So, but yeah, like I said, it didn't seem like a cash grab. It seemed like a thought process that just kept going. And it was like, well, what about this? And it's like, all right, well, let's explore that. So,
yeah.
Let's hear number 4. Jen had Toy Story. I had Toy Story. Jay had John Wick. You had Aladdin, Ray, and Chris had Godzilla. So we're starting to get some differentiation here. Jennifer, Toy Story 4. I'm assuming pretty much everything we just said.
Yeah, basically.
Same thing. Toy Story 4.
It'll be somewhere in the top 4, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a safe bet. So
4 or 5.
Jay, John Wick. Why'd you put it there?
because the other three have just been fucking amazing. Great, fun movies. It's got a
I've
big.
never seen
Oh, you need to fucking get on the ball, goddammit.
I've seen the first one. I still have not seen the second one, and I have to say the first one is fantastic.
them. Well, I was like, I guess if they're on, what is this, 3 or 4, it must be good. I think
They
but
they
I
are
don't know much about
very
'em.
good. The style, the cinematography, the action is just badass.
And the dedication that
Keanu Reeves put into
Reeves, oh,
it. Yeah.
That's the thing. They're good movies. But when you watch the behind the scenes stuff and then go back and watch it or keep it in your mind while you're watching it, this isn't a stunt double. This is really Keanu Reeves doing all this stuff. That's when it becomes, wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
one take. Like,
Yeah.
they do that in one take for the most part.
Oh yeah, there are these really long takes, and it's just like, man, everyone had to hit everything just perfect on that.
Oh, yeah.
So.
But I mean, just how good the other ones have been, how big the following it is for it. I listen to other podcasts, follow a lot of different social media groups. I know this is the one and only podcast, but
It isn't?
but there's just a lot of hype and a lot of people excited about this one. And I mean, like, one thing summed it up: fucking Keanu Reeves versus fucking ninjas on motorcycles. I mean, so yeah, that's
was
enough
pretty
right
cool.
there.
Yeah. Ray, you had Aladdin.
I did. So there's some guys and I were talking at work, and as great of the cast as they have for Lion King, it's the same thing that they just put out, right? Pixar put out the Lion King was an animation, and now they're just reanimating it, but in like it's more of a. See, there's no people in it. It's still animation. I think the live action Aladdin is going to touch on more nostalgia in the way of some people just really enjoying that whole movie. I mean, I remember loving that movie.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is the whole genie thing. I think after watching the movie again, or like the trailer again, and you see that he's not like that through the whole thing, people are going to get over that, and then they're going to go see the movie. And I think they're going to touch on it. I hope that they do a good job with it, but I've talked to a few people around us, and I know they're more interested in watching the Aladdin and what they do with that than they are with Lion King, because just Lion King, it's still animals, right? It's still so that was the only reason why.
Okay.
Yeah,
I understand that. Moving to the number 5 spot, Jennifer had Aladdin. I had Aladdin.
Why are we having the same exact picture?
I'm looking at this. The next one we split up. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna say great minds. Okay.
Get out of my head.
So let's see. You and I both had Aladdin. Jay had The Lion King. Ray had John Wick. And then Chris had X-Men Dark Phoenix.
yeah, she's got a lot higher hopes for that movie than I do.
And we will get there.
It looks awesome, but yeah.
So Aladdin, I don't know about you, Jen. My thought is it's going to do well, but the initial backlash on how Will Smith looked as the genie, I think, hurt it. And I'll be honest with you, I have not seen the newest trailer now that you're mentioning it, because
I haven't either.
I'm like, oh, I know, because people have talked about, they're like, oh, well, he doesn't look that way the entire movie, but I haven't seen it yet, because that image of him is still stuck in my brain. I'm just like, I don't know about this. I don't have a problem with them casting Will Smith. I think he's actually probably a pretty decent person to pick for it. It's just going to be hard stepping into those shoes. He's just going to have to do his own thing because of Robin Williams. That was a very iconic role of it, even though it is so ingrained with the pop culture of that time, because a lot of those jokes are just like, I don't know what you're talking, like kids nowadays would have no clue what they're talking about.
Nope.
But he's just so over the top, you're just like, who the fuck cares? It's the genie. He's awesome. So but yeah, so let's see here. So we had Aladdin, Jay had Lion King, you had John Wick, so you obviously have similar thoughts about?
Oh yeah, I mean, John Wick's going to be huge. I don't think it'll do as well as obviously the Marvel movies because it's more of an adult movie. But Deadpool 2 and Deadpool have proven that your R-rated movies can still make a lot of money. So,
Alrighty.
Can I just say one more thing about Aladdin?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the cast. If I'm not mistaken, most of the cast is actually like people of the race that they're representing, right? They're not whitewashing this one for the most part.
oh, they are
So
not.
I think that's going to be a big draw for this movie.
I think that's
I think a lot of people are going to see their culture represented and see people of color on screen and get really excited like they did for Crazy Rich Asians. And that's one of the reasons I think it's going to do really well. Because in addition to the nostalgia, obviously, but
And Disney's really tried to make sure that they hit that properly, right? Like you look at the different cultures that they've tried to represent now, and I've been impressed with them trying to ensure that they capture the culture properly. So,
yeah,
well, it's like, why not? Why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you not? I mean, I understand, flipping sex or flipping, minority for certain characters or whatever, if
Sure.
you're just going to try to do something. But if it's Aladdin. It's not like they're doing Aladdin in, Russia or whatever. It's set in this region. These are the people that are represented. Why not represent them? So,
well, I mean, they did it with like Prince of Persia. Wasn't that Jake
that's what I'm
Gyllenhaal?
saying. And you
Michael
see how
Come
well
No,
that did.
that was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
plenty of talented actors that could do this that are not white.
Exactly.
Let's
That's right.
get it together. Yeah.
Yeah. And yet, what's funny is what was that anime that they adopted a few years ago? That
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson
Ghost
was
in the
in.
Shell.
Ghost in the
Yeah.
Shell. Everyone freaking lost their mind. Why the hell is Scarlett Johansson in this movie? Blah, blah, blah. And then they went to Japan and did a bunch of questions and stuff. And the people were like, because she's a good actress and we thought maybe she would be okay. We don't have a problem with it. Why do
they
you
picked
people
her.
have a problem with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were totally down for it because they're like, because she's a good actress and she's going to bring a lot of gravitas to the story we like, and kind of made a lot of people look like, well, I guess maybe I'm making a big deal out of this. It shouldn't be, but whatever.
Basically, they said, "Shut up and enjoy the movie."
Exactly. Which, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. All right. So here's where we start to kind of start to splinter off and go everywhere. Number 6, Jennifer, you had X-Men Dark Phoenix. I had Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Jay had The Secret Life of Pets 2. Ray had Rocket Man. And Chris had Fast and the Furious. Jen, would you like to go first?
Wait, what did you say? I picked. Phoenix, Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix.
I already forgot. You went through so many. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this movie. I feel like it's like the first one they're doing on their own. Well, as Marvel, right? Fox isn't Fox anymore, right?
It's still
So-
Fox.
I feel
This
like
is
people
Fox.
might go see it because they might go see it to
Because
see
it's the last
what-
Fox.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm really confused now because I feel like the timelines have just kind of mashed together. Do the old X-Men just not count anymore? All those people that were like in the future are now part of the old timeline and stuff. Like, I'm confused on that. Anyways, it's still a superhero movie. It's still X-Men. I think people will still try to go see it and check it out. So it's my very informed, prestigious opinion on that one.
I'm just gonna jump in and say I didn't even have it on my top 10. The last X-Men movie I saw was Logan. In my opinion, it's the last X-Men movie that was ever made and ever needs to be made, because I heard so much crap about what was it? What was the last X-Men movie?
Oh yeah, Days of Future
Apocalypse.
Past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, granted, Dark Phoenix is a huge event in the X-Men timeline, so it could be. I think I maybe have it as one of my dark horses, because it could be that it picks up on that one. But yeah, the last couple ones just didn't do so great, and I was just like, I don't know about this one. So, I picked Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Now let me defend this.
You need to.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
It's
Very
fucking
difficult.
Pokemon, which is still just insanely popular.
The first live action version.
It's the first live action. And here's the thing. Here's the reason why I put it on at number 6. Because people who don't give a damn about Pokemon, myself for the most part, I'm not really that into Pokemon or anything, watched this trailer and went, that looks kind of funny. I might actually go see that. And that's the only reason. Because I think it may have enough curiosity factor that it's going to build on with all the kids going. And I say kids. I don't want to, you know what? I take that back. All the Pokemon people are going to go fucking see this movie at least once. And there might be enough additional people that it's going to cause it to rank up a little bit. Or it could be completely wrong and everyone's just like, yeah, this movie was stupid. Don't go see this. So that was it. I'll be honest with you. I put it on there at number 6, but I was like, this is a gamble. We're just going to see.
I honestly think it's going to be a mix. It's going to get a lot of the normal fans that love Pokemon. People just think it's cute.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to draw them in, but I think it's going to be probably dumb as fuck. But
Probably, yes. I agree. Jay, you had The Secret Life of Pets too. I never saw the first one. The first one, my boys, I think, was one of the first movies they went and saw with my mom and my wife, and they loved it. And I know it made a pretty good bank.
and that's what I'm betting on is that, it was a very popular movie. It really, loved, and hell, I love it. My kids love it. So it does hold that place for me. But I just think with the popularity of the first one, that it's gonna, with some of the other movies following it later on in the game, I think it should be able to grab some middle ground.
Yeah, there's also the thing you always have to figure out. You're like, what kid movies? Because the kid movies are going to make a ton of money, especially during the summer. What kid movies hit when, and how long do they have before the next one hits? So, Ray, you had Rocket Man.
I did. So I've been looking at the movies of what's coming out, and I'm like, okay, our age group's been hit. The kids have been hit with Toy Story 4. Grandparents and the older parents, they're gonna want to see something, a little bit of nostalgia, and Rocket Man's gonna hit that. They're gonna hear the music, they're gonna go and enjoy a story, and it looks fun. It looks like a good movie, and it's right
Taron Egerton,
right? And and it's riding off the the success of movie last year.
Oh yeah,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
So I just see it being like one of those movies that it's going to kind of grab a different audience that are going to go and spend their money instead of that. Because if you look at all the other movies that are being released this summer, grandparents have to go to something too, and they're not going to want to go to all those other ones. So
Yeah, true.
I mean, I want to see Rocket Man. It looked.
So would I.
It looked amazing.
It does look like a really good movie too. So
Yeah, I can't fault you for that.
So excited for that movie.
Number 7, Jennifer had Pokemon, Detective Pikachu. I had Secret Life of Pets 2. Jay had X-Men Dark Phoenix, and Ray had The Lion King. So all movies that we've talked about, we just kind of had them in different spots or so.
yeah. Can I
don't know. Oh, go ahead.
For Chris's pick there, it was either last pick about Fast and Furious.
Mm-hmm.
2 things that she told me was, 1, she sucks at this and she hates picking movies.
Same.
And her second thing was, that's got The Rock in it, and anything that has The Rock in it usually does well.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and address this. I'm looking to see if I put that. I have it actually, just to kind of jump ahead, I have it as my number 9 spot. This movie comes out pretty late in the summer season. But it has the name The Fast and the Furious on it, which they were still making pretty decent money as of the last one, which you're absolutely right. With the exception of a couple of movies, now granted, they were I was told that they were pretty much garbage. Pretty much everything that Rock's been in has made pretty good bank. Like, it's not like he's still one of those actors you can write a check against pretty easily, and so I definitely can't fault her on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, Jumanji did amazingly.
They're making another one, for crying out loud.
Really? Oh my god.
Another Jumanji with that cast.
And I
It
heard
was a
that
pretty awesome cast.
I heard it was actually a good movie. I still haven't seen it, but everyone I
It
know who
was.
saw it thought it was
We've seen it a
fun.
couple of
It's
times,
so
and
funny.
it is a very enjoyable movie.
And see, that's what I've heard, and I'm just like, yeah, what? Are you serious? Jumanji, this was good. Okay,
I
sure.
didn't. I had very low expectations going into it. Did not think it would be that great because Robin Williams, and I was
Yeah.
very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and they
One of
even
the movies, like most of the Rock's movies, you just turn off your brain, watch it, and enjoy it.
And you know what? And there's a perfectly, because I've had this conversation with Cy multiple times. We need movies like that. Not every movie needs to connect to everything else and build on and have to draw your attention. Sometimes it's fun to just grab popcorn and a drink and go turn your brain off for an hour and a half and
You know,
just have fun.
I enjoyed Baywatch.
yeah, so did I.
I haven't seen it really.
Would they have the
Gee,
unrated
because of the
version?
plot.
Yeah, they have the unrated version on Hulu.
Yeah.
The regular and the unrated. And no, it's just funny as shit. Yeah, you get to see some hot chicks in bikinis, but I mean, that was.
But they make
Awful.
fun of it so hard.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Is she running in slow motion? How does she do that? I mean, just stupid shit like that. I mean, it's fucking funny as shit.
I haven't seen that.
I may have to
If
watch
If you
Sorry.
get
it.
a chance, turn your brain off, grab some popcorn, and go watch that movie because it is worth watching.
Okay, I may have to add that to the list.
Even you, Jennifer.
I have so many other things I'd rather do with my time.
Oh, okay.
But I think I picked Pokemon here because I've never seen it or done any of the Pokemon stuff. It came out like as I was getting out of high school, so I kind of missed that craze and haven't been doing the Pokemon Go thing, but I know it's a big deal and I feel like it'll probably be in the top 10. I don't know where. I don't know how to gauge how good it'll do, but I know that it's popular, so yeah.
And what did I pick? Dark Phoenix?
Yeah, Jay, you had Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I picked that because that last trailer really actually looked pretty damn good.
They're following the actual thing where they're going into space and stuff like that, right? So there's
Yeah, but I think that's only going to be like maybe 5 minutes of it. Something like that. I don't think it's going to be very long.
no, but it sounds like they're at least following a little bit closer compared to what the Phoenix was in the last time that
Yeah,
they
The Last Stand.
It's-
No,
yes.
But no,
Well,
it
we
looked-
all agreed not to talk about that movie anymore.
Oh, sorry.
It looks really, really. To me, it looks really good. Pretty entertaining. But I put it low because so many people do bag on these X-Men movies that there's a shitload of people that don't want to go see it because of the previous ones. They think they're shit, so they don't even want to give this one a try. And I mean, that's why
Unfortunately, I'm in that camp.
Well, you know what? Go fucking see it anyways.
You know what? It'll be one of those things that if I hear enough people say it was decent, I may be like, well, I've got a week, I've got something to do, over a weekend night or something. So, all right. Number 8, Jennifer had A Dog's Journey. I had Godzilla. Jay had Fast and the Furious. Ray has Detective Pikachu. Jen, A Dog's
I have
Journey.
no idea why I would have picked that. I think that was a clicko.
You know what? You're probably not wrong though. Somebody's gonna.
Because I am the last person that would pick a pet movie. Do you know me? You know I have no interest in pets or seeing animal movies, so I couldn't even tell you what that's about. But
I haven't. Even
I
heard
think
of
I
it.
had to refresh at one point, and yeah, that was one that I accidentally clicked. I got nothing on that.
It's one of those movies about a dog, and
It
it's
gets
based on a
lost
book.
in its home.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
was
think
like,
I have seen the previews, but like I do not think of that. That was. Can I change that?
so
That's
it's not
bullshit.
like a dog's purpose where it just keeps dying over and over.
No, I don't think it's fucking. Yeah, I don't. It looks like you can walk into this movie and actually like not cry
And wanna kill yourself
because fucking
afterwards?
yeah, exactly. Because a lot of these animal movies, you're just like, no, I am not watching Schindler's List for my dog. Like, I do not want to see this dog die over and over and over again. Okay, that's
Well,
nope.
it's just like Milo and Otis. We actually watched that in school a long time ago when I was in grade school, and cute little movie and everything. Got a pug in it, of course, so it resonates with me.
Mm-hmm.
But during the scene where the pug, I can't remember if that's Milo or Otis, but I think it's Otis. But where he jumps off the mountain or whatever, the cliff, into the water, they actually were tossing pugs off of the cliff to get that scene and killed like almost a dozen of them.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Whenever they shot this movie that long ago, they actually to get that scene threw dogs
Oh my god.
into the water and killed a lot of them.
Oh my god.
So I was like, yeah, I'm never fucking watching that piece of shit again.
Hell no. Jeebus.
Childhood ruined.
Yeah, fucking ruined my childhood there, and
Huh.
definitely with it being a pug. I mean, that just hit home.
I want a redo on this one because that's bullshit. I don't even know.
We'll talk after the show. My pick was Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I still have not seen the King Kong movie. I heard it was really good. But I did see the Godzilla movie, and I really liked what they were doing with it. And seeing this, I'm just like, yeah, everyone who was a fan of, old school Godzilla, rubber suit, growing up or whatever, like this is what we've been fucking waiting for. This looks awesome. And I've heard enough buzz around it. I was like, I'll put it at the number 8 spot. I think as long as it's not like just flat out stupid, it looks like there's going to have to be quite a bit of battling if they're going to get in even half of the monsters that they've shown. So
there's a lot that is going to happen in that movie. And the other draw that I see, especially for kids or like teenagers, is
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, with her being part of that movie, I think that's going to be a draw for them.
Did you say Bobby Brown?
Yeah,
Millie Bobby Brown.
She's from Stranger Things.
Yeah,
yes.
not Bobby Brown.
Yeah,
I'll say he'd be drawn to all the kids in it, but
well, Bobby Brown, if he died over and over again.
Oh, well, yeah. Some people would probably see that. Jay, you had Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. It looks like we just said, it's shut off your brain, have fun. Looks batshit fucking crazy, which I like. I mean, I'm excited for it. It's going to get my money, but there's a lot of people that hate on the Fast and Furious movies now because they're too over the top, too ridiculous, and
yeah, but I like Statham. And
so do I.
And I like those two guys together. It should be interesting.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I'm going to go see it. I showed my fiance the new trailer, and she's like, "Oh fuck, we're going to go watch that." So,
Ray, you and Chris both had Detective Pikachu.
Yep, and we did. Oh. Yeah, it was for the reasons why we discussed earlier, where I think it's going to bring a new crowd into the whole Pokemon thing. I know there's some of the Pokemon crowd that are not happy because it looks like they're saying that all of the Pokemon look too furry or they don't look right this way or the other. You know what? You're getting a live action Pokemon that actually looks pretty decent, and you got some big names attached to it too. I'm good with it, and Quinn's interested. We'll probably go see it.
If I ever meet someone that actually says that, I'm gonna go find that meme that I've seen on Facebook where it's like kids nowadays are getting this, and they show Pikachu and what it looks like in this movie, and this is what I got, and it's a Goomba and what we got in the fucking Super Mario Brothers movie. Shut your mouth.
yeah, no fucking shit.
Yeah. Oh Jesus. I don't know how you couldn't. How could it not look more like a Pikachu? Like that's impossible.
Well, that
I don't think
Pikachu is Mario too. So.
Oh yeah.
So.
Forgot about that.
And
John Leguizamo.
yeah, Leguizamo is Luigi for crying out loud.
Well, you're talking about whitewashing things earlier.
Yeah, that's
He could have got a scrawny ass white dude
British
to play
dude
fucking.
and John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Have y'all ever watched any of the making of that movie or like behind the scenes stuff on that movie? Like, it was an absolute disaster, and everyone on that set knew it, and it was just they were literally just like, I'm just here to get my money and get paid so I can get the fuck out of here. So
Well, how do you compare that to like Double Dragon from back in the 80s? Another beloved,
great game.
Yeah, fucking amazing game.
yeah.
Still one of my favorites of all time. But
I'll say this: I forgot that they made a Double Dragon movie until you just said that. So
with Mark Dacascos and whatever the other dude's fucking name is.
I still say to this day, the best video game movie ever made is Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and it's not even technically a video game movie. It's a comic book movie.
Yeah,
that has video game influence.
That's one of my favorite movies. Period.
Fuck yes, I agree. But I'm just saying that's the best video game movie ever made, and it's not even a video game.
No.
So
Well, they
even though the
did make a
video game they made of it is awesome.
Yes.
So
Ready Player One's pretty good, but again, it's not a video game.
but yeah, once again, yeah. Number 9. Let's see here. Jen had Shaft. I had Fast and the Furious. Jay had Godzilla. Ray had X-Men, and Chris had Secret Life of Pets.
And Jen
Shaft, huh?
surprised as fuck.
I don't know. Again, I feel like this was a long time ago, and looking at the list now, like the last one I picked, John Wick was right next to it. Shaft, Men in Black was right next to it. I don't know. I've never seen the first one or.
Shaft's not a bad pick. Listen,
I think I was just guessing at this point.
I part of me was looking at that one, and it's going to be like the next version of Shaft, right? So Samuel L. Jackson is now passing the torch off to what looks like to be his son in this.
Who's playing Shaft?
Samuel L. Jackson. He's Shaft. And so
I just can't take this movie seriously with the name Shaft either. Like,
no, but that's the point. Like,
it's time you say it.
It's not a serious movie, and I think you're going to do well. I think it's going to do a lot better than what people are thinking right now.
I can send you a link to a movie called Shaft that is a serious movie.
No. Don't do that.
I'm okay, thanks.
Yes. I had Fast and the Furious. Like I said before, I put it in the number 9 spot. I think it's going to do well. I don't know how well it's going to do. It's one of those things. It's later in the game, but like we said, it's got 2 people that you can write a check against, and know you're going to get your money back. And so,
when are those movies going to die, though? Like, I just feel like how many more could they possibly make?
They're already contracted to go out to 11.
Jesus Christ!
As long
I've never
as they keep
seen any
money.
of them.
It's like James Bond, though. Like they've been going for decades, right?
They're going on number 21, I think. 21
Yeah.
22.
Yeah, I think they're as old as the movies are.
And they just announced that what's his name, Romney Malik, the guy who played, and yeah, he's going to be the villain in this next one.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
So
this will probably be his last. What's his name's last?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Yeah, I think the last one was supposed to be, but I think they wrote him a big enough check.
They already said this is his last one. They're looking at casting the next James Bond.
Yep. I've heard that.
I'm all for Idris Elba.
He already said no.
Oh, Idris.
Yeah, he's like, it'd be an honor, but he's actually one of the people against changing the race of James Bond. From an interview I was watching, he's like, there's some roles that are too iconic to change. And the fact that the original story of James Bond, the books by Ian Fleming, was actually kind of written off experience Ian Fleming had working for the British Secret Service before they went completely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that he said that it should just stay the way it is, because it technically is based on a real person.
That's fair then.
But
and see, and yet they've gotten some of them were so overly done, and so don't get me wrong, I love Pierce Brosnan as Bond, but he only really turned out one really good movie, and GoldenEye honestly is not as good had it not been for the game. The game is what really solidified as being as good as it was.
Yes.
But see, Bond is one of those things. I'm like, it doesn't matter what came before it. No one fucking cares. Yes, some of the movies are connected, but for the most part, it doesn't matter. It's just, hey, listen, you're a secret spy. We all know who you are. We know who you work for. Here's the bad guy. Go after him. And I'm perfectly okay with that. That's why when a lot of people were talking about what if we could turn Indiana Jones into the American version of that, even though whatever, I was like, if you put it that way, I would love to see them recast Indiana Jones and go back and do more stories fighting Nazis. Because honestly, I don't want to see Indiana Jones not fighting Nazis. But
that's fair. I thought you were going to say, Jason Bourne, because I could see, which they kind of started doing that.
They kind of did. Yeah. All right. So that was the number 9 spot.
What did I have again? It was
you had X-Men: Dark Phoenix.
Sorry, and the reason why I picked that one was it's the last Fox X-Men movie, and there is enough following that will want to see that, I think. So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, like we've already discussed, I definitely want to see it. There will be people that want to see it just to see. There will be people that just want to see if it's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Or just see Michael Fassbender. I mean, in all of his glory.
I will say, in that newest trailer, whenever he fucking goes up against her and she just like wipes him to the side, and I'm just like, man, like you're really showing your power if you can knock Magneto aside like he's nothing. Like that's fucking.
Yep.
So that was the part that was like, ooh, this might actually be interesting. So.
Yeah, and the reason I picked Godzilla, before we move on, King Kong, great movie. The first Godzilla, great movie. I think that's gonna, considering it's building up to what is it? I can't remember what the next movie, King of Monster Island or whatever it's supposed to be called.
And it's supposed to be Godzilla versus King Kong?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
But
so
I think that's gonna just build it up. That will help draw it in, but with all those, big name monsters and shit like that, and it's another movie that looks batshit fucking crazy, but good as fuck. And I think it's just for the possibility it's going to draw people in. That's why I had to get it up on the list, but it was so low because it's going to be a lot of word of mouth. If it's getting decent reviews, there's going to be a lot of people that were on the fence that'll go watch it, but it's one of those things, it kind of sucks. It's not as good as Kong or, the first Godzilla. Then there's a lot of people that'll brush it off until it is on Redbox or some shit like that.
I just had a thought real quick about Phoenix.
Yes.
How are they going to defeat her without Wolverine? He's the only one that could have got in there, right? Like, he's not there anymore.
That's only from The Last Stand.
I know, but think about it. What are they going to do?
Hugh Jackman.
Nobody that can. Anyways.
Yeah. Good try.
Yeah. Trying to
Chris, you had Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah. I think at that point it was more like that one. I'm terrible. So bad at this. I'm really good at predicting like award seasons, but this, I got nothing. I have absolutely nothing. So all of mine, other than like Endgame and Toy Story and Spider-Man, after that I was like, it could be anything. I have no idea.
You're just rolling dice.
Yeah, whatever. I'm going to lose. I know I'm going to lose. I've never won one.
I won like one, maybe two, but like I've told anyone who's ever played the game, I'm like, there's a maximum of 106 points if you get them all right. The highest anyone's ever won with, I think, was 50. Like, no one does. Like, it's literally like, who's the least bad at this?
Yeah,
is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So
I think I've led up until like about 3 weeks left or a week left, and then fucking lost it to Cyrus, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then that's the thing is sometimes we have these movies. Salt will always and forever. That movie killed everybody
Yes.
because nobody freaking had it on there, and that like literally the week before everything closed up, it managed to grab that number 10 spot and just ruined everybody.
That's
Which, by
gonna
the
be
way,
Dog's Way Home. I'm telling you.
was a good movie. Everybody was like, I was like,
Yeah.
this was actually a decent movie. I'd kind of like
Yep.
to see her do more in this role. So.
Yeah.
Speaking of the number 10 spot, Jennifer, you had Secret Life of Pets 2. I had Men in Black International. Jay had Rocket Man. Ray had Angry Birds 2, and Chris had Lion King. Anything you want to add about Secret Life of Pets there, Jen?
Nah.
Yet
I think I threw it on there
another-
because
another
I think
animal
I
movie.
figured the first one was popular. Kids liked it. People like pets. I'm sure
Yeah.
it'll, be on there.
Chris had let's see, where did she have it? Chris had Men in Black at number 7. I put it at the number 10 spot. I don't know how to read this movie. Here's the thing.
goodbye.
It's Men in Black, so it does have an established it has an established fan base.
Yeah.
Not an extremely active fan base, but it does have a fan base. It's got an extremely popular actor in it right now in Chris Hemsworth.
Tessa
True,
Thompson.
because Tessa's in it too.
Tessa Thompson.
That's true. That's true.
So, yeah.
And they're going in a different way
Mhm.
that is not eradicating the stuff that happened before and could feasibly lead to more stuff. And that's why I was like, if this does well, this could actually kind of not reboot the series, but give the series new life.
Yeah.
And it may continue on to do something. On the other hand, everyone may be like, no, we don't really care about Men in Black anymore. We're done.
I saw the first trailer. I wasn't really into it. I'm like, it's kind of, and like, there's no tie-ins from Tommy Lee Jones or Will Smith or anything like that. I saw another trailer today. They put it at the beginning of Endgame, and I was actually, you know what? It doesn't look that bad. It's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. And I would not doubt if either one of those guys show up as a small cameo somewhere in the movie.
They have
So,
to. They have to. I think.
It's just because of my dislike of all Men in Black outside of the original, and I don't really even like that one that much. I like Chris Hemsworth. I like Tessa Thompson. But I'm not really excited to go see this one. Now, if one of you guys come back and say, it's a pretty good fucking movie, I may go check it out when it, like, on a $5 Tuesday deal at AMC or something like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a bypass for me. But
I
it could
agree
make
with
some
you,
good
Jay.
money.
I agree with you, Jay, in that I think a lot of people are going to wait to see what their friends say.
Yeah.
And then the word of mouth is what's either going to cause this movie to pick up or just kill it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think it could make some damn good money just because it does have an established history. So people might be interested in going and seeing it just to see with new actors what it's like.
Yeah.
And seeing Chris Hemsworth outside of Thor in something that looks, halfway decent, people would like to go see that, even though some people do say he was the best part of Ghostbusters, which
He was.
I liked him in the Ghostbusters. That was the thing. Is
I like
it was one of those things that's like, Jesus, man, you're good looking, you're funny. Can you leave something for the rest of us, please? Like,
I
yeah.
don't give a shit what people say about the Ghostbusters movie. I'm not even that big of a fan of the originals. I like them, but yeah, for me they don't hold up very well. Number one a lot more than number two, but I really actually, as much as I was downplaying the new Ghostbusters, I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Jay, you had Rocket Man.
Yep, and that was solely. I watched the trailer. It looked fucking amazing, and with the popularity that Bohemian Rhapsody got, I think it can carry just with that alone. And other than Queen, who is one of the biggest musical icons of the last 20, 30 years, Elton John. That's going to carry a shitload of people in there, but I don't know if it's going to carry enough to get it above one of the lower slots.
I agree. Ray, you had Angry Birds 2.
Yeah, it was a slip.
Yeah.
We each get a pass, right?
A mulligan on one pick.
I know that I would not have picked that for number 10, so that was a slip. Oh well.
And then Chris had Lion King.
Yeah, I'm not too. I'm sort of interested to see it, but I think nostalgia is strong, especially seems to be very trendy these days and age with all the reboots and things like that. And the other thing too is they kind of intend on making everything live action, like everything that we grew up with as kids, like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. They're really hell bent on making it all live action. And even
it's double the money.
And this is CGI still, but they try to make it as real as possible. So
when are they doing The Little Mermaid? Because I know that's coming.
That's coming.
Eventually.
It's on these movies, even though it's Disney, and Disney is the biggest name in the world for movies. Just with, I don't know, just Dumbo, from every account that I've read, just was terrible.
Oh, I liked it. I thought it was good. Nobody will see it.
I can't watch it because even the trailer was like,
oh, no, I'm gonna cry.
Hit me right here. I'm just like, nope, I can't do this.
Yeah, nobody will see it because it's so sad.
Colin Farrell.
Too sad.
A lot of people.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and just go. We're going to go through all three of our dark horses. Jennifer, your dark horses were Rocket Man, Men in Black, and Stuber. What is Stuber? I don't even remember.
I don't know why I would have picked Stuber. That's got Dave Bautista and Kumail Nanjiani, I think. That's the one where he's the Uber driver that gets hired to drive him around, and he's like a detective or something.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure why I would have picked that. That may have been a slip, but I realized after looking at the list, I should have picked Yesterday for one of these spots.
You had to be fucking drunk or something.
Because only I drank, yeah. But yeah,
your whole list is like a slip. Most of it.
But she said that already. When we hit Dog's Journey, she's just like, what?
Yeah, but no, I think I should have put Yesterday in there because I think that's gonna do pretty well. That's another music movie that, it's the Beatles. Come on.
I thought about that too.
Storyline.
The fact that it's not their story kind of throws a little off, but you're right. It's another movie that's going to pull in a bunch of music that a lot of people like. So
yeah,
and it's a unique story lacking in a lot these days. Like you said, there's all these remakes and sequels, but we're not getting a lot of like new storylines. So
right, yeah. I had three that we all have already picked before. I picked John Wick, I picked X-Men, and I picked Rocket Man, and all for the exact same thing. All three of these movies have potential to jump on the list. I don't know if they're going to. It's literally going to come down to what people are saying. If people come out and say Rocket Man was awesome, it's going to make a ton of money. But if they come out and go, man, it'll die on the vine. I think the same thing for X-Men. I think the same thing for John Wick. If I don't know if John Wick, I don't know if anyone's going to come out and see John Wick is not good. I just don't know if it'll quite be able to pull in the amount of money it needs to. Yeah, but that's why I put those three there. Jay had Men in Black. Oh, I'm sorry, go on.
The way that number 2 ended, if you went and saw 2, you're going to see 3.
Okay, see, and I haven't seen 2 yet, so that's probably on me. I'm glad I at least put it as a dark horse, so if it does blow up, at least I'll get a point for it somewhere.
Get your poop in the group and go fucking watch it.
I need to. Jay had Men in Black, which we've already talked about, Aladdin, which we've already talked about, and Child's Play. Interesting pick. Usually horror movies during the summer don't do so well, but this is a reboot of an established franchise, and everyone I know who's a big horror fan has been talking about it. Like, they're like, I'm interested to see what they do with this. So, probably not a bad pick, Jay.
Yeah, and that's why I picked it, is because it is rebooting the whole thing, because after the first couple, it went to shit. I mean, Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, all this other stupid fucking shit.
Bride of Chucky.
Terrible.
But yeah, I just think there's enough buzz around it being completely rebooted and reimagined.
Yeah.
I mean, people will probably put some money into it because it is the only horror movie for the summer, and it has the potential of going batshit crazy and wrong.
And
So,
the fact that they got Mark Hamill to play the voice, I'm like, okay, well, y'all obviously went with someone who's a good voice talent for this. So, like you said, there's definitely, they're not expecting this to do bad. They're expecting this to do at least fairly decent if they're going to get the money, go to that extent.
From what I've heard from people, just reading it and shit like that have kind of got an early glimpse of it. They're like, just picture a Child's Play movie kind of set around Final Destination.
Okay.
It's not as much him doing all the killing. It's setting up ways for people to die and traps and shit like that.
That could be interesting.
Part of it. So,
sorry. Ray, your three were Child's Play, Godzilla, and one that hasn't shown up on the list yet, Brightburn. This movie is interesting, and if there was a number 4 spot, I probably would have picked it as a fourth dark horse.
Yeah, so I'm with Jay. There are people that are looking for a horror movie, and especially after It, right? Like, it was so good. I really enjoyed that movie. So I looked at Child's Play. I have seen the trailer. I am interested. I know somebody else is not.
Nope.
But if you're a fan of horror, and especially because they're going back to that nostalgia thing, there are people that want to go see this and see what they do with it. I think to solidify it, they probably should have put it back to the 80s or something like that. I think they could have really sold it then, but they're doing it around reimagination, which is fine. And as for Brightburn, I've seen the trailer a couple times now. It's the question of, what if Superman was bad? And with all the stuff around superhero movies right now, I think this is just different enough where people are going to say, you know what, I want to take a chance on that movie, because it's what if the superhero is an absolute horrible person?
Yeah,
and this answers that question. So
yeah, and you brought up the point, and I guess lost it off the top of my head. But no, that Child's Play is redone by the people that redid It. Yeah. And It was so fucking popular. And I mean, I love the remake.
I did too.
And I think just from the popularity of It and how great that movie was, that's going to be interest a lot of people to go in and check out Child's Play. Just if they could do that with It, then what can they do with Child's Play?
Yeah.
Chris, you had John Wick, Rocket Man, and Brightburn. even though you don't want to go see it.
Well, okay, so John Wick, I picked for kind of what you were saying. It'll be word of mouth. It'll be people saying this is great or this is not. So it might have a slow burn. And then I picked Rocket Man because same reasons. Just because Bohemian Rhapsody did well does not equal Rocket Man's success either. So I was a little hesitant to put it in the top 10 because of that. Because I mean, I think I want to go watch it, but doesn't mean.
I just picture your dad and my parents. I'm like, my parents, her dad. That's the generation that they're going for, I think, in that movie. So.
Yeah, well, they grew up with that music, and then Brightburn. When he showed me the trailer, I found it fascinating that they were the take on, this dude's this child has all of these powers. What does that do to a kid? What would honestly, I mean, it's really nice to sort of think that he would have this sort of benevolent attitude towards it and have this innate need to do good and help humanity. But what if he didn't have any of that.
What if kids were dicks to him? And what if
that happened and you have all of this power? What would you do? And so I
Burn down your prom.
Pull a Carrie and think fucking everybody dies. You know, you can only push a person so far. And so I really like the concept of it. I don't know if it's my type of movie that I could actually sit through without being traumatized.
A lot of jump scares.
A lot of jump scares.
I think The Lion King is going to traumatize you.
I'm not going to watch it. Dumbo would traumatize me too. But I really, really like the idea of the anti-superhero, especially with all of the superhero movies all of the time. So just that alone, I wish it wasn't so violent because then I would watch it. But so I'm a little bummed that it's a little bit out of my.
I hadn't heard about this movie
tolerant
before this game, so I'm intrigued now.
Yeah.
Go watch the trailer for it, and you'll get a hint as soon as you see it.
Like I just read the synopsis, and it looks freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's definitely a horror take on it.
Yeah.
I would love to see a non-horror version. It's just an interesting idea. Everybody knows that archetype of the Superman, and what happens if he goes bad.
Yeah.
Because I know there's that one comic book series. It's not indestructible. It's irredeemable, and it's basically. If Superman just fucking snapped, what would he do? And the first thing he does is he kills Batman.
Well, there's the one Red Sun where he actually landed in Russia.
Exactly, and I know about that one as well. Yeah, that's an interesting take as well because he's brought up with the mentality of Mother Russia comes first and everything else, and he's listen, Russia's going to take over, and I am the son of Russia, so. Been before me or die.
What if he just became a lazy slob who sat around drinking beer and playing video games all day?
Had a beer bod as Logan.
Or lost, just kind of got lost on things and ends up, walking around with, your Spider-Man suit, but maybe sweatpants aren't bad either. So
that's why I like Hancock so much.
Hancock.
Oh God, yeah, that was a good.
Yep.
I love that idea.
I mean, it was. The ending was terrible, but I still
stupid.
I
But
still
the whole
love
idea.
them.
Yeah.
The twist, yeah.
Yeah, the twist was not. A good
Yeah, the first 2/3 of that movie are pretty good, and then the last one was just like,
Oh, it kind of fell apart.
A little bit. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for our discussion of the movies coming out this summer. Like I said, unfortunately, if you're listening to this after the fact, the movie's already closed because technically it starts tonight at midnight.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why wasn't Tolkien on the list? That comes out this next month, right?
Yeah.
Do we not think that'll be?
Everything that I read was just don't bother. So.
Really?
Yep.
Just like
I'm
all
excited
the
for it.
movies based on the books.
A lot of the stuff that I looked at whenever I was putting them on the list, there's kind of an A and a B category whenever they release movies, and it was definitely on the B category. And then I did a little bit more research. I was like, yeah, because there were some more movies I could have put on the list, but I'm like, do I really want to keep mudding this up? There were some movies that were listed as A movies that I was just like, should I put this on there? I'm gonna go ahead and put it on there just because we did have one summer I left something off and it ended up blowing up, and I'm just like, I fucked that up. So whatever. But anyway, so with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our picks and pans for the week. Would anyone like to go first? I'll go first. I have 3. I have 3 picks. My first pick is Endgame. Freaking awesome. Go see it.
Yes.
No, I'm sure there's no questions about that one. My second one is it's a movie that's on Netflix. It's called The Highwaymen. It's you've probably seen it advertised. They are heavily pushing it right now. It's Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson, and it is a really good movie. And as to its accuracy, because we were watching the movie, we're about halfway through it, and I'm like, I wonder how accurate this is. I got to looking. The final scene where they have the shootout and kill Bonnie and Clyde was done on the exact same spot that they literally shot and killed Bonnie and Clyde.
Wow.
Really? The road has been
Asshole.
paved, of course, since then. So they trucked in a bunch of dirt to make it look like it looked back then. Like they went that far.
Wow.
And I was just like, wow. My dad would enjoy this movie if nothing else for all the cars. I kept looking. I'm just like, this was not a cheap movie. Number one, you got Woody Harrelson and yeah. But I'm just like the amount of detail that they put into it, and it's a good story, and the characters are likable, and just it's a good movie. If you've got Netflix, check it out.
It's on my to-do list.
The other thing is also on Netflix. I don't know if they'll have it up there in Canada. It's a TV series that runs on True TV. Pardon me. The first season is on Netflix, at least it is here in the U.S. I heard about it earlier this week on another podcast. It's called I'm Sorry. It's a comedian and her husband and their little girl, and it's a sitcom.
I know who those people are.
It's a sitcom, and it's not number one. It's not
No, I don't. Never mind.
it's not censored at all.
Oh, okay.
So when they say fuck, they say fuck. But literally, like the shows, to give you an idea of what the show is like, the first scene of the first episode is the little family is sitting there, and the girl asks her mom, when a baby comes out of your vagina, it's like this big. How does the baby come out? And she looks at her husband. Husband's just like, I'm not going to touch this. And she's like, well, your body knows, and it gets bigger, and the baby comes out. Okay. So they keep talking a little bit, and she goes, but does it go back? And she's like, well, she starts to explain. She's like, well, mommy, do you have a giant vagina? And of course, this is in a food court around all these people. And of course, everyone else is just like, it is so raunchy and funny, and it's hilarious. And Christy and I have been dying watching this show. There's only like 10 episodes for the first season, but they are on Netflix. If you can get it, check it out. It is really funny. So, but if you're easily offended, don't bother. So, Ray, what's your pick or pan for the week?
Okay, so a couple of pans to start, and then one big pick that overdoes everything. So,
What's your pan, honey?
so a pan is that I had to replace a tire on my car because we hit a pothole, and on the sidewall started bulging out about the size of a baseball, which wasn't good. And then I also had to replace the screen on my phone because of an idiot. But the reason why my pick trumps all that is because all of that happened while we were heading down to Florida. So we went to Florida. It's been a week now since a week tomorrow we got back, and it was such a good time.
Yeah.
We got to really enjoy Universal Studios a lot better. We only went one day last time we were in Florida. This time we had 4 days, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
We found Nocturnality, which we didn't even see last time, which was again a great time. There were so many. We got to go with friends of ours, Lee and Diana, and their kids, and got to share some fun stuff with them. I don't know. It was an amazing trip all around. Surprised the kids as well the day that we were leaving to go to Florida, which was a huge accomplishment.
It was.
So
it was.
it took a lot of
They're
work.
so excited.
They
Oh, yeah.
were. I got it on video. It was pretty
Yes.
adorable.
So
Awesome.
and then I'll be sending you lots of pictures and stuff too, because I've got some pics that I'm gonna change up a little bit of the kids and stuff with the wands while we were down there. And yeah, it was such a good time. I went on a ride, and this will be the last thing I talk about. Went on a ride. It was my pick for the entire trip.
That's all you wanted to do.
This is the one thing I wanted to do. So at Volcano Bay, which is part of Universal Studios, it's their water park. They have this water tube that you can go in, and you have to climb up to the top of the volcano, and it's about 125 feet of a ride. And so you get into the tube, and you cross your arms, you cross your legs, and you hope you don't die. They drop the floor from underneath you, and you drop on a 70-degree angle straight
What the
down.
fuck?
So awesome. So awesome.
I heard him yelling from the top of the volcano right as they got.
But it wasn't a scare.
No, he
No,
was so happy.
it was yes.
Oh.
So
Oh,
much.
Jesus.
I don't get it.
Now part of the reason why I was so happy is because I actually survived the climb.
It was 219 steps.
So,
Jeebus.
so I got up to the top, and these two kids behind me, and I call them kids. They were probably teenagers, might have been early 20s. Anyway, I'm like, fuck, they're right behind me. I got to make it up these stairs, and I can't let them pass me because I'm out. So I'm going, and I'm like, okay, so. Behind me, there's I hear them talking. They get to a landing, and they're like, "Oh, I'm getting tired." I'm like, "Oh, good, okay, I can slow down a little bit." My heart's just pounding. And the girl turns to the guy, and she's like, "I think I got heart palpitations." I said, "How do you think I feel?" So anyway, we're standing in line, and there's only a couple of people ahead of me now. And this one guy turns, and he's starting to walk down like he's not going to go on the ride. We're like trying to cheer him on, all that stuff. He's like, "Nope, I'm done. I can't do it." And he walks down. I'm like, "It's quicker the other way." And then this other guy comes up, and this guy was British. There was a lot of British people there. We found out that it was their holiday. They had 2 weeks off. Anyway.
Okay.
So this British guy comes up, and he's looking at us. He's huffing and puffing. I'm like, "Don't worry, your heart rate goes down before it goes back up again." And he's like, "Okay, good. Do you see out?" I said, "Well, yeah, you'll probably see out, but don't worry, you'll be inside the tube, and you won't see when they hit the button." "Okay, good. I can do this."
You had to talk people through it.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. But it was such a good ride, and yeah, it was a great trip all over. Also,
Awesome.
And you didn't stop through Indiana on your way. All right.
no, sorry.
Or Texas, whatever.
It's
Yeah.
a little out of the way, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
A little out of the way.
Whatever.
You can go through Indiana to get to Florida. It's not that far.
Good.
Well-
We were I-75, and
Yeah.
we were driving down with our friends, and it was like a straight shot. We did there. It was a 15-hour, 16-hour day the first day.
Yeah, we drove all the way to Georgia.
So it was
Wow.
12 straight hours of driving, but we broke it up,
stopped.
so it was like 16 hours a day that
And
day.
that's the day that we lost.
And that was the day that I lost the tire.
in Kentucky.
That's just getting you through Texas. About that same amount of driving.
Oh,
Well,
that's
that's
it.
like-
That doesn't even
that
get you
gets
through
you
Ontario. So yeah, we did pretty good, and then on our way back we did a 10 and a half. So
Good deal. Chris, what's your picker pan?
Florida.
Florida was pretty awesome. And like Ray said, we really got to explore Universal Studios, and my love of Harry Potter just sort of
exploded again.
like a lot.
Nice.
I picked out where I wanted to live in Diagon Alley.
I have a picture of her.
We have pictures of where. Yep, me smiling. I know exactly. It's right across from Gringotts. It's Wiseacres. It's a bright blue building with gold stars on it. Everything. I loved it so much. Like it was kind of. It surprised me how much I felt at home there. I was talking to my friend Diana that we went with. She felt the same way. I'm like, this is so stupid. This place doesn't even exist. And I feel at home here. So I told Ray, I'm like, you might have a hard time getting me home from England when we go in September. Like, I'm not sure I'll be able to leave.
That'll be me if I ever go to Hobbiton. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
never
So it was
coming back.
it was a lot of fun. And then another pick, we just started watching. We just got Crave TV, which is a streaming service here in Canada. So one of the shows that they have on there is Star Trek Discovery. So we just started watching that. It's really good.
Yeah. But we're enjoying it.
I'm really enjoying it. I actually wanted to start watching it without you today. I know.
I would have shot you.
That's why I
What
didn't.
an asshole.
But yeah, it's really, really good. So between that and the Orville, it's kind of interesting. They're two very different shows, but they kind of touch on a lot of the same stuff, just in very different ways.
Yeah.
But it's Star Trek Discovery. It takes place 10 years before the original series started. So yeah, it's really good though. And then the Klingons look completely different, but
Whatever.
it happens.
Yeah. Jennifer, what's your picker pan for the week?
Well, I have had several fun things happen this month. It's my birthday month, so I got to celebrate that. and went to Houston last weekend, which is not the pick. But I got to go to the Van Gogh Museum or go exhibit at
I saw
the
that.
Fine
Yeah.
Arts Museum, which was incredible. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's my favorite artist, and he's just an incredible talent and force in the world. So that was pretty neat to get to do that. And they had an interactive 3D exhibit that I got to go through. So yeah, that's pretty much my big excitement.
I forget. Did you watch Doctor Who?
No,
Oh,
Okay,
they
there's
do
got
an
into it.
There's an episode you have to
About
watch.
Van
On
Gogh.
Van Gogh.
Yeah, the Van Gogh
Yeah.
episode is really good.
One of my favorites. Van Gogh's also my favorite artist. I have Van Gogh inspired tattoos on my back.
Oh, really? Yeah, and I was like actually really drawn to a lot of his lesser known stuff, and
Mhm.
I saw some pictures I had never seen that I want to find prints of because they were really pretty. So,
Very fun.
oh, my other pick is I did my first webinar on environmental sustainability, and I think it went okay. Pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah, haven't heard otherwise. So, I spent a lot of time preparing that presentation, and I'm glad it's done. But it was really cool to get to do that. So,
Very cool.
Best way to know something is to teach it.
yep.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jay, what do you have a pick or pan for the week?
Yeah. Well, I could bring out some old ones since it's been so long since I've been on. Of course, like Captain Marvel, which I've seen since last time I was on, was fucking fantastic. Made me really excited to see her in Endgame, which I'm picking that before I even see it as a pick, because I know it's going to be fucking amazing.
It's so hard not to say things right now.
Yeah.
Yes, please don't.
We're not. We won't.
But between those two, I picked up Widows a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that blank look that you guys just gave me. It's got Viola Davis, Liam Neeson, Michelle
The
Rodriguez.
movie,
Yeah.
Oh,
I
not
pick up
actual widows.
random windows. Okay.
Widows, yeah.
Yeah. No, I ain't picking up Strange Widows.
I heard of that. Yeah.
But that movie was
Is that
surprisingly awesome.
Is
I
that
think
that
so.
heist movie?
Yeah.
Oh,
Where
okay.
their
Oh,
husbands get killed and
Yeah,
they have to
yeah.
go and they're basically trying to steal the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I thought it looked okay, so I was like, I'll pick it up in Redbox, use some of my points, so I'm not actually paying for it. Liked it enough that I went and bought it. So
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
it was. The story is awesome. It does hop back and forth, kind of. What happened in the men's story. Obviously he died. That was in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just what the women are doing to kind of due to some of the acts of their husbands.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a big pick. But it's a Netflix series I just started to watch. I'm only like 1 or 2 episodes into it, but I'm gonna pick it already. It's Love, Death, and Robots.
I finished watching it.
Yeah, that. So far, it's pretty good. I mean, it reminds me a lot of
Liquid Television?
Liquid Television, but heavy metal.
Yeah.
How to think. And I mean, it does have people like Topher Grace in it. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I mean, it's got some other actors that you see them and you're like, well, I know them and things, but if I told you their names, you'd probably be like, who the fuck is that? And there was one other thing, but I can't remember off the top of my fucking head right now.
Love, Death, Robots, I thought was... Some of the episodes are definitely better than others. Some of them just didn't really kind of hit with me. Some of them I thought were really good, though. But yeah, I agree. It's heavy metal in that it's like, oh, hey, there's full-on nudity and sex and stuff going on in this animated cartoon. But it's also... Some of the episodes... Like, none of the episodes connect together. It's just like... And some of them are really heavy. Some of them are just kind of somewhere funny. And the reason I said Liquid Television is because it kind of reminded me of that. It was like that show came on MTV and you're like, all right, I know it's going to be animated, but I have no idea what I'm about to watch. So,
yeah. And it's got all different animation styles. And
yeah. And some of the styles are beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful work.
But that was pretty good. And of course I'm going to pick the new season of Game of Thrones, because that's.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people,
That one.
it's so fucking slow. Well, they're setting up the story.
Oh yeah.
because
Shit's
all
about to hit the fan.
Yeah, I was about to say all the rest of the episodes are supposed to be like an hour and a half long,
Mm-hmm.
and the next episode, I believe he said, is just all a battle. Like 90% of the next episode is just a battle, from what I've read.
It has to be.
So I mean, damn, yeah, I'll take 2 hours of story for a 2 hour fucking battle, pretty much. Mean, and I just hate to see it. I hate to see it go. I mean, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm sure is gonna love the fuck out of the rest of it, and I'm not going to be. Some people are bashing it because of the Arya Stark sex scene in it, and
that wasn't even a sex scene.
I know. And,
That's
what I was thinking. I was like, she's 22.
Yeah, so she's
fucking, her character's 18.
Exactly.
And you
so
see,
I mean,
you see a little side boob and a little top butt and some kissing, and that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I pointed it out to my fiance and she agreed. What is his name? Podrick?
Yes.
Yeah, he reminds me, if you look at him in the face, he looks like a young Michael Fassbender.
Oh, that you mean Gendry?
okay.
Gendry, yeah.
Gendry. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks
A little
like
bit,
fucking Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I was like, that's so fucked up. That could be
That's,
like his illegitimate child there.
His name's Joe Dempsey. He's like 32.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that it was like a big age difference. But I was like, yeah, Maisie Williams is 22
She's
years
22.
old. She looks really young because she's really petite and short. She's got that baby face, but she's 22.
Yeah, so fucking get over it.
Lighten up,
Yep.
dude. It's Game of Thrones. Like we've seen a lot more.
Yeah, and if you go back to that time period, yeah, they're doing that way before 18.
Oh yeah. The other thing that I thought was hilarious, I saw two pictures. It was one where it was her when she was 12 or like near the beginning of the series, and she kills a guy. And there's okay, that's fine. And then there's this when she's like of age, and they're like, "Whoa, that's too much."
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, yeah, she just fucking killed off a whole family and fucking
Yeah, but that's
murdered his two sons, baked them in a fucking pie, and fed them to him, and then that's all
that's
good.
fine.
Yeah.
That we can understand why she do that. But the moment she wants to have sex because she might
Or going into a big battle that she probably will live.
It's that American mentality of killing is fine, but that's too much.
Yeah, and I've had that discussion with some of my British friends. They're like, "You guys are just
idiots." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to normal sex in TV, sex in movies, just normal sex, it seems so weird, but yet your culture's got some of the most perverse fucking things that you could even imagine. Out there, and then violence is no problem at all, but yeah, somebody getting it on, a little bit of sex is just, oh dear fucking Lord.
One nipple at a Super Bowl blew the whole thing out of the water.
Oh yeah.
I know, millions of dollars in fines, people fucking let's ruin people's careers because of fucking nip slip.
Yeah.
That was actually partially covered
From a nipple ring.
Yeah. But,
She had a nipple shield on, and oh my god.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to get some nipple shields.
There you go, Jay.
Yeah.
Yours first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd have to shave off the fur around it too, but
That'll itch when it grows back in.
yeah, I could just braid it,
Okay.
Goes a little Rastafarian vibe.
I appreciate
missed you, Jay. With that is the end of our episode, ladies and gentlemen. If you would, please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Music. There are some other podcast services out there that Jennifer reminded me about. The reason I hadn't originally tried to get the show on there is because they wanted money. And I'm like, no, I'm not paying you to carry our show. But they've since changed their ways. So it's like, okay, well, let's see if we can get out there. So we may have some more ways to try to watch the show in the near future. We'll see. Like I said, doing that really does help out. Also, if you want to check out our other shows, the Marginally Geeky Show, we're reviewing Children of Blood and Bone next week. And then we have another Sustainably Geeky coming out. You record next week? Week after. Okay.
No, it's the first Tuesday, but next week is one of those weird weeks where the Wednesday comes before the Tuesday for the month.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first Wednesday is before the first Tuesday of the month.
Okay. Yeah. I was kind of confused at first. I was like, yeah, that makes no fucking sense. But
what kind of time travel bullshit is this?
You see, when you go back in time.
No.
Yes.
Just follow the rules.
All the rules. So with that being said, where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti, Instagram, Twitter, and here, obviously, Marginally Geeky. I am partway through the book. I am trying very hard to finish that book. I'd like to be ready for your podcast. So
would I. I've read it. I just don't know what I'm going to say.
I will say this. I've had to speed up her reading of this one. I'll explain that in the thing, but yeah.
I wouldn't know. I listen to everything at double speed.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah. Chris, I'll tell you about that after the show. Chris, what's your pick or pan for the week? I mean, not pick or pan. Where can we find you? Sorry.
What?
I just went back in time.
It's been a while.
Yes.
You can find me here, Marginally Geeky, Sustainably Geeky. May 7th is when we record our podcast. And then on Instagram at Cedar Birch Cottage. I haven't posted anything in almost a month, just not in the creative juices, but maybe now that spring's going to show up here, hopefully soon, it'll feel more creative.
It's supposed to snow tomorrow.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Canada.
Yeah, Canada.
Yay.
Jennifer, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Het's Gonna Be Me. And in just a few days,
It's gonna
be May. So excited to post that meme. Also on Marginally Geeky and Sustainably Geeky. And as Chris said, we'll be recording in a couple weeks. And the topic will be sustainable parenting. So if you have kids, you will learn how to, raise them sustainably and use less waste and all that good stuff. So
if I can join in on that one, I might.
Yeah. Please do.
Yeah.
Because as it stands, it will be Chris and my friend Lena on the show that have kids, and then 2 Jennifers with no kids. So we'll be researching, but we don't have firsthand experience with that.
Understood.
Ray, Jay, where can we find you online?
One J Red on Instagram, Epically J Red on Twitter, which I gotta link shit together so it looks like I'm posting because
That's
I'm
the way
hardly
to do
ever
it.
on there. That's pretty much it.
Good deal. And as always, you can find me at Optimus Gene on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hopefully, I'm going to start posting more stuff about my Proton Pack again. I'm trying to get it up and running. Like I said, I've been working on something for quite a while now for the Etsy store. I've just got to finish fulfilling an order, and then I can actually announce it and start selling it, and it should be pretty fun and awesome. So, do stay tuned for that. So, like I said, we will have an episode next week. We will be discussing our thoughts and feelings on Endgame. So that will probably be a pretty long show. Just giving you a heads up, because there's lots of thoughts and feels on that one. So, with that being said, you can find the show and everything else at Epically Geeky on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm just falling apart at this point. Let me wrap it up. For everyone on the site, have a good night.